So you clicked on my video wondering, why are people moving to Kansas City? Well, in this video, we're going to be discussing just some of the many reasons why, but what I think is the most important. Basically, speaking about just the economic growth that's going on, the absolutely affordable living, the cultural scene, the family friendly parks, areas, everything like that, and then just why it is in the most unique position in all the United States. Now, if this is your first time to my video, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Big Mike. I'm a local Kansas City real estate agent, and I help people all the time that are relocating or moving around Kansas City. So I could help you too. Now, let's just discuss. Let's talk about the growing economy and why it's so important here in Kansas City. So, we have so much infrastructure going in. We got the Facebook plan, we got the Panasonic plan, we got Google, we got so much infrastructure going in. So, Kansas City announced recently, I say recently, a few years ago, that any big tech startups moving to Kansas City would get massive tax incentives if they were to. And then they're able to pay in like a 10-year time period the normal tax amount. So big startups just flocked over to Kansas City specifically. And it hasn't done anything short of provide so much property value increases compared to the national average. Now, there's certain companies like Oracle that is located here, massive healthcare tech giant. They used to be known as the former Cerner. We got the Garmin headquarters here locally. We got Honeywell. Honeywell is big defense structure, and then there's so many startups going on here. Plus the construction world. If you're a blue collar boy like I used to be, man, it is so much job opportunities here, from driving a truck to working your tail off in construction to building houses to you name it. Kansas City is exploding for that job opportunity. Now, if you're one of the few people like, man, you know what, I'm not too sure how this would pertain to me. Well, imagine this. You move to a brand new city and you have no idea about anything going on. Well, there is one guarantee that you're going to have job security here if you show up and you do what you need to do, because there's so many job opportunities that as long as you're a good employee, you'll be fine. And then on top of that, you got people like me who are building up small businesses and the networking opportunities from everyone that's just, I mean, Kansas City is a hustling town. It's nothing like some of these bigger places where people make millions of dollars by doing stupid stuff. Like, Kansas City is a hustling town, just to give you perspective. Now, the next thing I'm going to discuss is the low cost of living. And I know I've mentioned this a few times on my channel, but Kansas City is ranked as like the top 10 most affordable cities across the United States. Now, you can easily find a starter home here for like 2 to 300,000. That same starter home that, let's say, in LA, New York, Miami, maybe Seattle, that same starter home that you could expect in those cities, you can get for 2 to 300,000 here. Now, the median rent here is a little bit higher because obviously when people find out the cheaper prices of houses, they flock to Kansas City. They want to buy up everything imaginable. And because the rents are normally like a 1% rate. I mean, you're talking about a $200,000 house can be rented about 1,800 to 1,900 bucks a month in certain places. Plus, when investors and other people hear about the cheaper taxes, I mean, you're talking about normally about 75% of what you would pay for in Kansas alone. I can't imagine what it would be all across the United States. But Missouri is one of the lowest taxed states for property values. And just with everything coming through Kansas City, like you're talking about trucks, planes, Kansas City is in the middle of the country, which, if you don't know, everything comes through Kansas City from one side of the coast to the other, from the south side to the north side to everywhere comes through Kansas City. So that actually makes it very cheap compared to other places. Let's say wood, for example, to be transported all the way down south when there's way more trees up north. Just to give you a little bit of example, when everything is centralized, it makes everything cheaper to cut down on shipping costs. Now, I post up to social media all the time, and you can follow me on Instagram. People are always telling me there's no way that house is that cheap. You can buy brand new construction homes here for 400,000 or 500,000 all day long. You can go find yourself a starter home for 200,000 or 300,000. A mansion here is 2 million, whereas a mansion in probably some other places are 40 to 50. $2 million will buy you a house so big that you'll be thinking that you're El Chapo or something of the sort. You'd be feeling like a celebrity here in Missouri. Now, to also hit on just the housing, so that includes cheaper gas, cheaper groceries, cheaper entertainment. When people, let's say, for example, when people are traveling across the country for shows, Kansas City's on the way. When North is coming from South, trucks stop in Kansas City. When groceries, like let's say Walmart, when they're getting transported from places like California over to New York or whatever the case may be in between, Kansas City's on the way. You don't realize how much shipping really is until you start looking at their books. Next, let's discuss the food scene. And this would not be a Kansas City video without talking about the Kansas City barbecue. So places like KC Joe's, number one on the spot. Jack Stack Barbecue has a little bit higher on the what am I, the word am I looking for? You're paying more for the atmosphere there. Same quality food. Arthur Bryant's, you're paying just for the food purely. I mean, there's Gates, there's all these different places to barbecue. You can literally go anywhere in the city and find fantastic barbecue. On top of that, we have a very good Italian area, and I love fettuccine alfredo. That's just mine. Chicken and shrimp fettuccine. We have so many places like Garozzo's. We have a chain restaurant like Buca de Beppo down the plaza. There's so many different opportunities that I couldn't even go over. We have a fantastic Mexican down off of Southwest Boulevard, street tacos galore. We have First Fridays, the very first Friday of the month. There's an entire um, street streetcars that sell food. There's an entire area over by Crossroads. They block off all the roads, and it's just 50 or 60, whatever your heart desires. You can definitely go and find it. Now, a little bit about the music scene. So Kansas City is pretty known for the jazz, and this is the birthplace of jazz. I mean, there's the places like the Green Lady Lounge that I've been a part of many times. You go down the stairs and you just go enjoy some jazz music, have yourself a nice cocktail. It's really dark. It's pretty romantic setting. I've brought um a few girls on dates there. It's absolutely phenomenal. So if you are loving a jazz or maybe you just want to chill and relax after a hard work week, definitely check out the Green Lady Lounge while you're here. Other than that, you could type in just jazz Kansas City on a Friday night. You're going to have 15, 20 different options pop up. And maybe jazz and music's not your scene. Man, we have one of the biggest art museums in all the country, and that's the Nelson Atkins Art Museum downtown. There's so much more art. And there's certain areas of Kansas City that actually allow graffiti to happen. You can go down to Graffiti Alley here. Very unique spot. But the art museum, just for example, is full of just rare art. There, once again, on First Fridays, there's a giant art exhibit down there you can buy. Heck, there's so many different art spots that I couldn't even go into in a single video. Now, kind of want to hop into sports. So if you don't know, if you move to Kansas City, you almost have to become a Kansas City Chiefs fan or a Royals fan. And now that we have the only women's soccer stadium in the entire world, you'd have to become a women's soccer fan. That's just a few. If you've never tailgated before, I guys, Kansas City Chiefs, Royals tailgate. I don't care how fun you've ever had, it doesn't compare. When you show up to the stadiums, let's say on an early Sunday morning, if you're a Chiefs fan, it's a little brisk outside, it's a little nippy, and you rip out the grill and you just look far right, far left. The entire time, all you do is see people throwing a football around, all wearing red, all having a good time, drinking beer, having food. It's literally like a block party, but an entire stadium, like it parking, we always run out. You would think whenever you show up early that all these parking spots could never fill. Guys, there is so many vehicles that show up. I couldn't even tell you the beginning. Had to take care of some business right there, but I'm back. So just to keep going on what we were discussing. So the annual festivals and some events, just if you are not familiar with this area, we got a few big ones. One of the biggest ones that we have in the area is the KC Renaissance Festival. It's where all these individuals get dressed up in like middle-aged type of costumes and just live like what the Middle Ages consisted of, eating turkey legs, the big old bones you know from cartoons. The Plaza Art Fair, that's every single year. Boulevardia, that's shuts down. I don't know, in like 4 or 5 blocks of downtown, and everyone just drinks and has a good time. They bring in some major artists, and it's just a vibe. So there really is just something for every single person here in Kansas City. Fun for all ages. I mean, there's so many different things. You'll never be bored unless you specifically just want to try to stay bored. Now, the schools are a typical question that I see from people moving out of state. So, the number one school in the area is by far Lee Summit. I actually graduated from Park Hill School District. You're able to find everything that you want off of niche.com, and it ranks all the schools here in Missouri from absolute number one ranking to all the way down to the very bottom ranking. And the more rural you get, the lower the grade of the school gets. Now, let's say you like outdoor adventures or maybe trails or maybe lakes. It doesn't matter. We have over 200 parks in the Kansas City area, and just a few of the lakes. I'm specifically about Smithville Lake. Go out there, have an amazing time on your boat. There's Olathe Lake. There's Table Rock Lake, maybe a couple hours down south. There's the Lake of the Ozarks, about 4 hours south. There's so many lakes nearby and just plenty of fun for all ages. And then on top of that, you got so many different outdoor trails. You can go to any city around here. You're probably going to have 20 to 30 outdoor trails that you would be able to enjoy. I personally like the one Happy Rock Park. It's over by my house. It's over in Gladstone. That's the one that I like to go to, but you may not be me. There's so many around that if you are an outdoorsy person, there's plenty of that to go around. Now, the number one community for low crime, Lee Summit by far here in Missouri. If that is something, now Kansas City gets a bad rap. It's one of those things I truly believe in. Like, if you don't start anything, you won't find anything. Obviously, there's always breaking the rules, but Lee Summit's by far the lowest crime. If you're going to Kansas, Prairie Village, and it's so overall, why do people love Kansas City? It's definitely affordable. It's pretty safe, has great schools, and honestly, if you're trying to raise a family, it just has a wholesome environment.